Here we go, Treadwell DPT back with another anatomy breakdown, muscle by muscle. They were talking about a real heavy hitter of that posterior chain, working double duty at the hip and the knee. Big time prime mover in sprinting, huge muscle for sprinters, but also just generally impactful muscle in lifting and athletic power. We're talking about the Biceps Femoris. If you've ever pulled a hammy, it was probably this guy, the two-headed monster of that hamstring group. Let's break them down and see what we've got. We'll talk origin, insertion, innervation, function, and we'll finish with a few clinical tidbits. The biceps femoris is of course a part of that hamstring group on our posterior thigh. It's a little unique in comparison to the other two because it's got the two distinct heads. Our long head originates up high on that ischial tuberosity of the pelvis, giving it a direct connection to the hip joint. The short head, on the other hand, starts lower down, taking its origin from that linea aspera of the femur. From there, both heads converge and run down together, forming that strong tendon you can actually feel on that back lateral side of your knee. That biceps femoris tendon inserts into the head of the fibula. So just to reiterate, two heads. The long head originates up on our sit bone, that ischial tuberosity. The short head originates on the posterior femur along the linea aspera. Two come together and the tendon will insert into the head of the fibula. So because of its two-headed design and that dual joint setup, the biceps femoris plays a couple of big roles. The long head with its pelvic origin crosses the hip joint, so it contributes to hip extension, standing tall, driving that foot through the ground, exploding out of your blocks. Like I said, very important for our sprinters. Both the long and short heads cross that knee as well, which means they're heavily involved in knee flexion. I'd say that's most people's first thought when we talk about the action of the hamstrings, a commonality between that muscle group. On top of all that, the biceps femoris is the only hamstring that sits laterally, so it adds external rotation to the tibia when the knee is flexed. So just a cool clinical detail that's definitely worth remembering, a little piece that can help you differentiate it from those other hamstring muscles. Just to reiterate, our biceps femoris is responsible for hip extension, knee flexion, and knee lateral rotation or tibial lateral rotation. Another cool distinction here is the innervation of biceps femoris. Dual innervation, but an easy, common sense dual innervation. The long head gets its nerve supply from the tibial nerve, roots L4 through S3. The short head is actually innervated by the common fibular nerve, roots L4 to S2. So that short head of biceps femoris is the only muscle directly innervated by the common fibular nerve, as opposed to one of its branches, the deep and superficial fibular nerves. So really cool. Two heads, two sources of innervation. Cool little test question, cool study question for sure. All of that could potentially be meaningful clinically if you've got some sort of pathology that's tibial or fibular nerve specific, could definitely manifest as selective weakness in one of the heads. But to reiterate, that long head of the biceps femoris is innervated by our tibial nerve, and that short head is innervated by our common fibular nerve. So we alluded to this earlier, but when we talk hamstring injuries, the biceps femoris is the man of the hour for sure, and for all the wrong reasons. The most commonly strained of our three hamstring muscles, especially in athletes who sprint, cut, or have to explode off the line. Most of these injuries are going to involve that long head of the biceps femoris. That sort of makes sense because it's crossing both the hip and the knee, so it has to handle a huge stretch, a lot of lengthening during that late swing phase of sprinting. Of course, we'll have those very, very heavy, powerful forces during our sprints, those eccentric overloading, overstretching patterns with that explosive hip flexion and knee extension. So a very easy to visualize mechanism. We shoot that knee up, we shoot that foot out. The muscles that are resisting or that are on the opposite side of that movement are our hamstrings. You usually see guys grab that back lateral thigh after a pull, and then in your palpation, you'll see some tenderness along that proximal tendon near the sit bone. A very high re-injury risk for hamstring strains as well. The biggest risk factor for a future hamstring injury is a history of hamstring injuries. If you've had one, you're prone to have another. So it definitely gets a lot of clinical love. In the gym and the clinic, it's a key muscle to target for rehab, performance, and injury prevention. Go-to exercises are going to be some eccentric loading work, Nordic curls, controlled sprint mechanics in the later phases. When it comes to keeping this muscle healthy, you definitely want to be loading that tendon. Those Nordic especially, we've got good research pointing to those type of exercises being especially beneficial, bringing that long head of biceps femoris into shape. So think about that next time you're in the gym. Hit your Romanian deadlifts, hit your hamstring curls, and try a few Nordics as well. Put that muscle to work. All right, biceps femoris. There you have it. The hammy of all the hammies. Sprint essential and a common clinical culprit. Hopefully this was pretty straightforward. Nice little breakdown. Offered some good insights. And with that said, have a good day. Another one. Much more in store, even more to come. Stay tuned, stay locked. Treadwell DBT. Catch you next time.